Now that we have the block welded in the neck and we have the backbone prepared to take this, the neck and the block, it's time to put this in here. And this is going to slide in the backbone easier than it does in the neck, but still it's going to have to be tapped in. Just like when we put the block in the neck, I'm using a C-clamp to get it in the proper position. The great part about this setup is once you get it tapped into place, it really holds itself in there pretty good. And you don't have to worry so much about it falling or moving because it goes in there tight. Now we need to use our inclinometer here to make sure we're where we are supposed to be. We're looking for 33 degrees. Right now we're at 33 1/10 of a degree. So we're going to call that good. And just like with the neck here, I'm going to put the C-clamp on it sideways like this to ensure that the side of the backbone is pressed firmly up against the frame. And block. At this point, I'm going to do a couple checks. I'm going to use the level on the side like this. Try to get it straight up and down this way. You can see if it's level. Spot on. I'm going to check on this side. This is double check. Right where we need to be. I also like to use a straight edge to check the sides of the frame here. Make sure they line up good. Looks like we're pretty damn good. So just like on the other one, I'm going to start off by putting a tack up top here to hold it in the position that it's in. I'm going to leave the clamp on here, so I'm going to tack up top here, then I'm going to tack these two here, and then these two on this side. And that's going to ensure that it doesn't go anywhere while I weld the rest of it up. Okay. Now with this tacked in place, we're going to double check again and make sure that the neck is still at the right angle and that it's still straight. 33. Still level. Still pretty good. So what we're going to do next is start welding up these plug holes here. They all seem to be lining up good like we want them to. These two are a little bit off, but like I said before, as long as you make sure you burn into that edge, you should be just fine. And I'm going to weld inside here like I did on this one as well, just to make sure. Okay, so now that all these plug welds are all welded up, now I'm going to have to get inside in here and weld up in the inside. And to do that, I changed the back on my torch here. It used to have a long torch back, now it's got a short torch back. That way I can get in here and I can move around like I want to, so I can get in here and weld it. So, there we go. Now the rake is welded back on. Our rake is welded into the neck. One more check. 33. That's good. Now that this stuff's all welded in, we can go ahead and grind all these welds down, and we can start epoxying this in right here. This kit, when you get it, one big plate, two little plates, big ones for the bottom, and the smaller ones are for the sides. This is to replace the gusseting that they have in here and make the neck that much stronger than just having this big block welded into the backbone. So now that we let this all cool off, we're going to go ahead and grind down the plug welds that we just put in here. Get everything ready so we can make this U-channel and finish this job up. I'm going to start off with the side plates here. I like to do those first. I'm going to go ahead and line it up with the bottom edge here. Hold it right in the middle, and I'm going to use my marker on the back side so I can cut the angles. Okay. Okay, Now always remember when you're cutting these out, cut it a little bit big. If you cut it too small, then it's too small forever. If it's bigger, then you can always sand it down to fit. Now our sides fit, one for each side. I like to mark them left and right. Makes it easier. Might not fit on the other side. Now we can start fitting the bottom piece. I'm going to do that the same way. Hold it up in here and mark it. We're going to trim it. Is we need to make these three pieces into a U-shaped piece, kind of like this. We need to shorten it down to be the width of the neck. So I'm going to put these side plates in there and get a measurement of the inside so I can cut that bottom plate. Once again, I'm going to cut it too big. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place each one of these side plates here where they belong in the neck and tack them just to the back side. So each one of these side plates are placed in here properly. Then I'm going to put the bottom plate in and tack it just to the side plates, and then I'm going to take the whole piece back out so I can weld it on the table. One tiny little baby tack. Now that we have the piece tacked up, the two sides to the bottom, I'm going to cut this tack here loose on each side and take this piece out, do the finished work on the table over here. Okay, so we're going to let this cool now, and then we'll grind the welds off the bottom, and we'll round this outside corner right here. This outside corner is really sharp, but on the frame it's not, so we're going to grind this weld down flat to the bottom. Then we're going to round these corners. Then I'm going to trim these tops to where they fit up here from this point to this point. All right, now that this is all cooled off, I'm going to go ahead and grind it down, start putting a radius on the side. Okay, now we'll see how it fits in the frame again. Looks like we're going to be just fine. Next thing we're going to do now is mark off the top edge so that we can trim down this top part so it lines up with the existing line. Pretty good to me. So to reduce any movement of the neck here, I'm going to weld up just the back side first, the side that attaches to the frame. So that way we don't have shrinkage from the frame to the plate and from the plate to the neck. Separate, it will shrink less and it'll keep this in the spot that it's supposed to be in. Now welding on this side, we need to be careful of the VIN. If we weld with a torch pointing this way at all, then the heat is going to come over to this side and it's going to melt all this paint and ruin your VIN here. So I'm going to do it with the torch pointing away from the VIN. That way all the heat comes over here, it doesn't ruin our number. See, we still have a nice, pretty, perfect VIN. You can see that it melted a little bit up here, but if the torch would have been facing this way, it would have melted a lot farther back and either discolored or burned the numbers away altogether. You can see now that I'm welding the inside and the outside of everything that I can reach, simply for the fact that it's your neck and you want it to be as strong as possible. So I like to make sure it's welded inside and outside. Everywhere I can actually get the torch to and I can physically weld it, I'll do it. So the next thing we're gonna do, now that this is all ground down, nice and pretty and flush, we're gonna take and make a tape template of this so we can get the shape. Transfer it onto our sheet metal so that way we can make a fill piece. Start off by making the bottom edge and then the top edge. Now we have our bottom tape making this edge and our top tape making this edge. Come in with a razor blade, cut out the shape of the hole. Now we have a tape template. Take this template and transfer it right onto here. We'll be able to cut this shape out. That should fit right in our spot here. That same template should be able to be used for both sides. If you're afraid of any inconsistencies from the left side to the right side, feel free to make a template for both sides. I personally don't feel the need to do that. I just make sure that my cutout is big enough that if there's any inconsistencies between the left side and the right side, then I can accommodate for that in the extra size that I leave the plate bigger than the template. Okay, now that we have the templates drawn out on here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut these out. Once again, like before, we're going to cut it out bigger to make sure that we can trim it down to the right size. Go. That's how much too big I've cut it. A little bit under an 1/8 inch. So that way we can start taking this and fitting it in this hole. I'm going to start trimming a little bit on the bottom to get the piece set at the right angle. Then I'm going to make this bend in it here, and then start trimming everything else from there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark the bottom of this radius here on the backbone. I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to mark here. That way I know piece of tubing here that just so happens to be the correct radius here. You can utilize anything you want to make this bend, as long as it provides the correct radius. I'm going to go ahead and bend this around the corner now. Now with the bend in there, you can see that the line that I marked at the bottom of the bend on the backbone is at the bottom of my bend that I made here. That was the point of that line, is so I know where to start my bend. That way I can make it line up with where it's supposed to be here and make it actually fit. See, I'm slowly bringing it down to the lines that I had made with the template. Even though I made it too big to begin with, bringing it back down to the size that it was with the template, because it's pretty darn good. And what you have to do when you're doing this is you have to fit not every edge at the same time, but you can't do all the fitment here without doing any here, because as this is tapered, the farther down this goes, the bigger it is. So down here, it's almost the right size. But if I sit it up here like this, with this not down in the hole where it's supposed to be, it makes it too big. So we need to be careful not to just do one side, and then when you do this side, it fall down, and then it's too small for your hole. So I'm going to work on the top part and the fitment up there now. Something else to think about when you're doing this also, because these welds here could very possibly be having a radius in there from your grinder, and you have a sharp square edge here, you might have to cut on the back side here a little bit of a chamfer on the edge in order to get it to fit down in there. I'll show you that in a few more minutes. Seems to be more correct. There we go. It fits in there flush. Sounds ready. Just stay on there. Go ahead and start making the right side now. So now that we've got both these pieces bent and fitted, the next step we're gonna have is we're gonna be welding in here. So you can see how this fits in here. It's really nice. Pushes off really good. So we're gonna install these two pieces. We have these pieces installed, we're going to be grinding the welds down and making it look like it never got touched. Okay, now that we got the skin all welded on, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look at the plug welds that I put in and make sure that those are filled up enough. And if they're not, I'll just go and add a little bit extra fill. As you can see, this is a perfect example of what I meant. It's not quite full enough. When you're welding at such high temperature, it's really hard to make sure it's full enough without it seeping back down in. So I find that coming back at the end and filling it back up makes it come out that much nicer. do now is let it cool off. So, now that we have everything all welded up and it's cooled off, we're going to do our finish grinding. I'm going to do it with a couple different discs. I'm going to use a real rough disc first to get the majority of it off. Then I'm going to use a finer disc to do the last little bit of final grinding. So here we go. Something I like to do to help protect these rocker boxes here, because you're grinding and shooting all the sparks down here, I like to take it, just put a piece of material in there so the sparks, they hit this instead of getting stuck in whatever coating you have on your rocker boxes. You don't want to have to redo those. Alright, well, looks like we're pretty done here. You don't have to worry about it if it's not exactly perfect. Some of these little smaller spots right here, your painter's going to have no problem taking care of that when they get the neck here repainted. What you want to focus on is making sure that this line still lines up on both sides. Make sure that this is nice and flat and flows into here real nice, and then this stuff up here is going to be no problem for them to take care of. Alright, well, that's how we rake one of these baggers with our Bagger Nation rake block kit. Hopefully you have as much success as I did.